Alright, this is my reaction to the Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers video. It's going to be a little bit of rambly, but I mean, it is what it is at this point. This is my direct reaction. First things first, the Saints are a good team. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, right now, my number one first week, overreaction for Tom Brady. He is overrated. He looked no better than Kyle Allen would have against the Saints team. Jameis Winston looked a lot better. Tom Brady turned the ball over a lot. They didn't really pass the ball much. You can tell their game plan was to pound the ball and take short dink and dunk passes until they open up the pass game with Tom Brady. He just did not get the job done against the Saints defense. My second takeaway, there is such a big drop off as far as what Eli Apple brought to the table and what Janoris Jenkins brought to the table. Now, was Janoris Jenkins perfect? No, but I don't expect him to be. He's not the number one receiver. Not the number one corner. Number one receiver got locked down by Lattimore. That's what I expected from him. He got a late, fluke touchdown or whatever. Fine, cool, whatever. That helps his stats. But for the majority of the game, he got locked down. Outside of that, Janoris Jenkins did his thing. He returned interception for a touchdown. He had a couple key pass breakups. He had a couple key tackles. These are things we just did not see from Eli Apple. The third thing that I want to highlight is the whole pass interference issue. We still have a whole bunch of issues with getting flags for pass interference. Particularly one, I believe it was against Marcus Williams. It could have went either way. It was a bang play, but you're facing Tom, so you're not going to get all of those calls all the time. Outside of that, Saints played a pretty decent game on defense. Now, the bad. As far as the offense is concerned, they played a cute game, in my opinion. There were too many swing passes. There were too many plays that took way too long to develop. All that good kind of stuff. That stuff don't work when you're facing a really good defensive line and some of the fastest linebackers in the league. That's just not gonna work. What you need to do in that situation is challenge those DBs. And in the instances where we challenge the younger, average at best DBs that Tampa Bay have, we were able to capitalize and score points. And I personally believe that's all that matters. If we would have came with a game plan with that, I think we would have done a lot better earlier on. I still think this was a pretty good game, but there's still a lot that leaves to be desired from the offensive side. I noticed Latavius Murray got the lion's share of the interior carries. As far as Alvin Kamara, I don't think he had any. Maybe if he had a couple carries on the outside, it was maybe 2 or 3, something like that. It wasn't really noticeable towards the outside of like stretch carries, long developing carries, stuff like that. He didn't really have much of that. It was mostly Latavius Murray running the ball on the inside. They try to get Kamara involved with swing passes. At this point, but Kamara's in the backfield. They have at least 2 or 3 people paying attention to him. Swing passes just aren't going to work at this point until you prove you can do something else outside of the backfield or down the field. The Saints didn't do that early on. Luckily for us, like I said, we were able to capitalize on special teams and on defense, and we were able to make something happen. But if that were not to be the case, it would have been, I'm not going to say a closer game, but it would have been a harder game to win for sure. So all in all, I think it was a really, really decently played game, especially towards the end. Early on, we could have did a lot better. The thing that really frustrated me was our game plan towards the third quarter. The third quarter, we got slapped around the entire time on offense and on defense. I don't know if we were playing more conservative than what we should have, but it just was not a good third quarter. But like I said, luckily, special teams, good returns from Deontay Harris. block field goals, all that good stuff. That gave us the cushion that we needed to push forward. So all in all, my two early reactions to this New Orleans Saints team, they did way better than I expected them to do at this point in the season. They are usually basically atrocious the first 1 to 4 games every season. But this was a really good game outside the offense. I was expecting, as in latter years, when the offense get the ball first, they just basically roll. But I've seen a lot of cute stuff happening. At this point, like I said, we have way too many weapons with Michael Thomas, with Jared Cook, and he missed a big pass, by the way. Emmanuel Sanders, he was a pass interference magnet. We have way too many weapons to move the ball down the field and stretch the field than to throw swing passes and three-yard out routes. And, we just way too much of explosive offense for that at this point. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the wrong defense to sit around and, I guess, try to play that, front seven game with. They're just way too fast. You have to realize they still have Ndamukong Suh on the front line. They got Vita Vea on the front line. They got Jason Pierre-Paul on the front line. Shaquille Barrett. They're just really good in the front seven. They have Levante David. They have 45 Devin Bush. One of the fastest linebackers in the league. You just can't play with that team in the front seven. You just can't. You have to isolate that front seven, throw the ball downfield, pass protect. That's another thing I want to highlight. Andrews Pete made one good play, but he made several terrible plays. I don't know why he was playing right guard per se, rather than his traditional spot of left guard. I kind of saw that they swapped around, but I saw the majority of his mistake came from right guard. From him, I guess, misjudging defenders' gap placement and all that good stuff. So I'm hoping that either Ruiz comes back or they figure that stuff out, put Easton out right or whatever. But that really wasn't working. Outside of that, Patrick Robinson didn't play too good. I didn't really expect too much from him. I think I saw a couple plays. He blew like one big coverage assignment. I expected Scotty Miller to go off. And as the announcers alluded to, Tom Brady likes that type of receiver. I don't think Scotty Miller is that much like Wes Welker and Julian Edelman and all. He's way, way quicker, way, way faster, doesn't have the same skill set. But I get what they're saying. Outside of that, the other observations that I had, Jared Cook, he made a couple decent plays. He made one big key drop. Traquan Smith was kind of pedestrian, but I don't really expect too much from him early on until the offense kind of opens up. From the running game, Latavius Murray did as good as he could with what he had, and I'm happy with that. He ran in between the tackles. He broke some tackles. He fell forward almost every single time. But my biggest issue offensively is just the cute play calling, the jet sweeps, and the toss plays. And, Alvin Kamara is a patient running back. I would compare him to the likes of Le'Veon Bell. He's not the type that's going to beat you laterally by his speed. He's going to beat you laterally by his patience. He's going to wait. He's going to find cutback lanes. He's going to hesitate and bounce the ball outside. That's the type of runner he is. I don't toss plays against the fastest linebackers in the league. Well, some of the fastest linebackers. They're at least the top 3 fastest linebacking core in the league. I don't think that was too smart. Outside of that, Michael Thomas didn't do too much, but he was doubled the majority of the game. I don't know exactly what the game plan was for Tampa Bay with the secondary with Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. We, of course, found Emmanuel Sanders and Jared Cook one-on-one a lot. I didn't expect to throw too much to Alvin Kamara because, like I said, they have speed to match up against him. But at the end of the day, I mean, they did a really good job in the secondary against Michael Thomas. So can't take that away from them. We took what we could get. And overall, like I said, I would like to see more from the offense, but it still was a fairly decent game, especially towards the end of the first quarter and like the fourth quarter. The things I'm looking forward to seeing more. Deontay Harris did his thing. Every touch that he had, he made the most of it. Even on punt returns, it was nothing more than 15 to 17 yards per touch, but that made a big difference as far as field goal range and things of that nature. The jet sweep that he had, I think that was for maybe like, I don't know, between 12 to 18 yards, something like that. It was first down on that for sure. But he made a difference on offense, so I'm looking forward to him getting more involved in offense and just making defense respect him in motion more. We put a lot of people in motion. Even Alvin Kamara to a certain extent. We put Alvin Kamara in motion, but Alvin Kamara doesn't have that speed, especially against those linebackers, for them to really feel threatened. They'll look at him going by, but the majority of the time you're thinking, okay, that's probably a decoy. I'm going to keep my head on the swivel, but I'm not really going to, shade to that direction and, shift my momentum to that direction because I know he can't beat me outside. I mean, he's just not that type of back. I'm impressed to see also implementation of Taysom Hill in the offense. The fourth quarter, that pass was really, really key. You could tell that Sean Payton was trying to stick it to Bruce Arians. And, I respect it. This is the NFC South. He talked a lot of smack throughout the offseason. And, I mean, hey, Sean Payton kept his foot in his throat until the end of the game. Sean Payton, with 40 seconds left, up by, I think, 17, something like that. He was trying to score a touchdown. So that tells you everything that you need to know as far as how Sean Payton feels about that relationship with Arians. But I expect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to bounce back to a certain extent. You can tell they had a lot of timing issues with the offensive line. They had timing issues with the wide receivers, especially an interception from Marcus Williams to start the game. I expect it to get better over time, but my overall, I guess, conclusion of who this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team is based off of week 1, I don't think they're a better team than the Saints. I really don't. Especially defensively, they're not. Special teams, no. That's nothing I want to highlight. We got an opportunity to see a real live Madden NFL scum kick from Thomas Morstead that worked. That was genius. That changed the momentum of the game. Things like that, they dictate wins and losses. They determine Super Bowl teams from teams that are only on the cups of the playoffs. Right now, I do think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to find their way into the playoffs, especially with this new playoff system. It's Tom Brady. I don't see especially if it's close, and I'm not saying it's a conspiracy or anything, but I don't see the NFL allowing Tom Brady to sit on the sidelines and not make the playoffs. He's Tom Brady, he's going to find his way into the playoffs, but it's Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, and from what I foresee for the rest of the season, right now, week 1, I could be wrong, but week 1, they're not a better team than the Saints right now. I'm not saying that only because I'm a Saints fan. I'm being realistic about it. Early on, the first quarter of the game, I had my doubts, but like I said, when the defenses and the special teams showed up, that's when I felt a lot bit better. You have to also realize that a lot of this stuff is scripted between the first couple drives too. Once we got out of the script, we got to see what they were doing. They got to see what we were doing. We got to adjust, and we just had a better overall game plan. Like I said, we bombed that third quarter. A lot of that stuff was self-inflicted with penalties and all that stuff. But like I said, I'm optimistic about the Saints team. Let's see what happens next week against the Raiders. The Raiders didn't look that good this week, but we'll see what we're working with. So, till next time, peace.